Hi there. Today I'm going to show you how I make my kale soup. It's a recipe that was put together by a combination of my grandmother, my mother, and other family members. Like any other recipe in all these Portuguese ladies, no one wrote anything down. It was a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So I had to kind of figure it out myself and put my own twist on it. And this is the recipe I came up with that everyone seems to love. So I'm going to share it with you today. First things that I do is I prep everything ahead of time just because it makes things so much easier. So as you can see, I have everything ready to go here. And what I started with is an onion. And so I'm going to saute this in a nice big Dutch oven right here on the stove. So I'll turn this on. Medium-high heat. Some olive oil and heat up the pan. Then I'm just going to take all those onions and put them right in. And just let them sweat and soften. So get them into the pan. And just like that. Good. And then I just use a wooden spoon to move things around a little bit. So while that's going, let me show you what we're doing over here. So basically, this is what we call chouriço. It's a Portuguese sausage. Some people call it chorizo. We call it down here on the South Coast chouriço. It comes in mild form and it comes in hot. I like the hot and spicy, and that's what this is. So it comes in a casing, and basically what I do with this is I just cut it right down the middle, keep the casing on, and cut it down the middle again. And now, I just peel back the casing, because you don't want that. And then I'm going to chop this down into bite-sized pieces. So I just go down one more time, and then turn it, and just into pieces. I find that with this soup here, a lot of times people will do it in big chunks. I like it in bite-sized pieces. It's just easier to eat and tastes so much better for me. So that's one of the tricks, and that's how I do cut my chouriço for this. So again, right down the middle. And slice that down. This particular chouriço I get down at one of the local Portuguese markets where the old ladies are in the back making chouriço fresh daily. You can get it in the regular supermarket, that's not a problem. But if you talk to any Portuguese person down here, we all have our favorites. So whichever one works for you is fine. How's it going nicely? Turn that down a little bit. And finish this. This soup, I find, also is better usually the next day. It gives a chance to all the flavors to get together. And I always like to have a pot on the stove or a container in the fridge to warm up at any time. Especially this time of year, it's great. So, put this over here. Just about done with this. And once you see how easy this is, it all goes very quickly. The biggest time-consuming part of this is the prep. But if you prep all ahead of time, like I told you, it shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so get that out of here. Okay, so I'll move this over here. And basically, I'm just going to take all that chouriço I just chopped up, it goes right into the pan. And next thing we have is potatoes and chopped stew meat. The stew meat is basically, you get it in the market, comes in a little package. And again, what I do is I take the pieces and I cut them down to small, can you see that? Small little bite-sized pieces. It's just easier to eat. This also goes right into the pan. Give that a little stir. Good. Move this over here. I also like to put some type of macaroni in. So I use the ditalini. You can use elbow macaronis. So this basically is just a cup of ditalini. Like a little saucepan here that goes in. And then a couple cups of water. Put that on this burner over here. Just bring it to a boil. And again, this is all on medium-high heat, and I'm just browning the chorizo and the meat. Next thing I'm going to show you is what I do with the kale. So kale, you get in the market, comes in a big, big bunch, and this is what kale looks like. It also has a very tough root or leaf, branch type of thing. What I tend to do with it is I find it easier is I just tear it with my hands. So I tear it off and tear it into small pieces, just like this. And I just tear it right off the stem. It's kind of like piecemeal. You're just kind of tearing the kale. You can also chop it with a knife if you want. I just find it's easier just to do it this way. You're going to find that when you get the kale, you can get it already pre-chopped. If you don't want to do this, that's fine too. They come in big bags. Or you can get fresh kale, which is what this was, and do it yourself. I find with the kale, you're going to get they always come in a big bunch. That's too much. You don't need all of that. So what I tend to do is I take half of it, I crush it all up, and then I put it in a storage bag, label it with kale, put it in the freezer, and I'm good to go the next time I make a batch soup. So that's my little trick on that. Okay, so this is going well. And just let that go a little bit more. Next thing that goes in there is small white beans. So you can use, I like Goya, you can use any ones you can get. Everything goes right into the pan. So all the beans, all the juice, just pour that right in. Just like that. Give it a stir. Good. Next is chicken stock. I tend to make my own chicken stock and I store it in quart containers. So basically, when I roast a chicken at the end of the time, when I'm done with the chicken, I put the bones, and I'll show you that in a different episode on how I make my chicken stock. But I always have chicken stock in the freezer. Basically, you can just freeze these. I usually get them at the restaurant supply. You can get them at the deli counter. It's just a quick, easy way to have chicken stock on hand all the time. So 2 quarts of this. And this goes right into your pan. That's 1 and 2. And now we season. So basically this is açafrão. So it's Portuguese safflower. And so I use pretty much a teaspoon of this. Sprinkle that in. This is temperos português, which is Portuguese allspice. And same thing, teaspoon of that. There it goes. And next is salt and pepper. Usually, basically, salt and pepper, about 2 tablespoons of salt, 1 tablespoon of pepper. I kind of eyeball it, so just like that. And I kind of mix that around. And just gonna taste it for seasoning. And finally, what goes in here now is potatoes. So this is basically about 3 or 4 Yukon Gold potatoes that I chopped into bite-sized pieces, peeled them and chopped them. And that goes into the soup. And again, give it a nice little stir. And I'm going to check on the pasta over here. This is going good. Just like that. Okay. Get this out of the way. Put that up. And in goes the pasta. So with this, I use the pasta and the pasta water and all. Just pour it right in. And put this on. And again, give it a little stir. Great. And last but not least is all this kale. It looks like a lot, but you'd be surprised how much this comes right down. So just pour it right into there. This is the kale that I showed you how I just tear. Just kind of put it on the top there. And just like that. And then with my spoon, I just kind of push it into the soup. And let it wilt down. And I'll show you this. It looks like a lot. It really does. And you look in here. But I'll show you in a minute here how much that goes right down. So basically I just kind of like mix it through. Just like this. Yum, yum, yum. And it's already going down. Okay. I'll show you what that looks like. There you go. So basically you let this go, bring it up to a boil, and then bring it down to a simmer for about 45 minutes. Cover it and let it sit there. The longer it sits, the better it tastes. And that's my Portuguese kale soup. Enjoy.